Welcome back to Gazing Males. Today we've got some more Seinfeld. People love our Seinfeld videos, so that's what we're doing.
Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want.
This is the set from the old Merv Griffin Show. They must be throwing it out.
This is from the Merv Griffin Show.
It belongs in the Smithsonian.
Yeah, at least in the dumpster behind the Smithsonian.
One minute Elliot Gould is sitting on you, and the next thing you're yesterday's trash.
Come on, Kramer, get out of there.
No, you go ahead. I'm not finished taking this in. Oh, Jerry, look. Merv Griffin's cigar. Hey, Jerry, come here a sec.
Hey. Oh, my God.
It's the Merv Griffin set.
Get this in here.
Well, you just bring it in sideways and hook it.
So where are you going to sleep?
You're backstage.
This chair smells like garbage.
Oh, well, a lot of the stars from the 70s, they were not as hygienic as they appeared on TV. Addicts, for example.
No conjecture. They were not as
Jerry,
hygienic.
we'd love to have you back anytime.
Nothing to do with the fact that he found it all in a dumpster.
Yes.
Well, Lane Bennett. Well, it's great to have you.
Did she sit on the
Is
garbage
it
chair?
possible
She
that
does
you're
sit on the
even more
garbage
beautiful
chairs.
than the last time I saw you?
Oh, they're flying the tiny instruments in from El Paso.
El Paso. I spent a month there one night.
What's he here for?
Well, he takes some of the pressure off of me. So, Jerry, what's going on with you? I understand there's a young lady in your life. Hmm?
Well, actually, it's kind of a funny story because she has this amazing toy collection, and last night I finally got to play with them.
Well, sounds like things are progressing. Do I hear wedding bells?
Are you married right now?
No.
Actually, she doesn't even know about the toys. I gave her the wrong kind of medicine, and I guess she passed out.
What do you mean, wrong kind of medicine?
She's even got that old Mattel football game that we love.
Oh, come on. You gotta get me over there.
Wait a minute. You mean to say that you drugged a woman so you could take advantage of her toys? Let's pause a moment.
They're recording the show.
Now, what you do with your personal life is your business. But when you're on my set, you clean it up, mister.
I told you he was a risk.
Oh, like he's not just carrying you, and has been for years.
Yeah, well, you bombed. That story stunk worse than these chairs. Lately, though, I've been buying the generic brand of wax beans. You know, I rip off the label. I can hardly tell the difference.
Officially bottomed out. Who's our next guest?
We got no one.
We need a new format. We should shut down and retool.
What about a guest host?
I'll pretend I didn't hear that. Okay, a little later, we're going to be talking with animal expert Jim Fowler.
Where are the cameras?
First, we're talking with Jerry. Hey, Jerry, you drugged a woman in order to play with her toy collection. How do you feel about that?
It was great. I've done it a few more times since then.
And she doesn't know anything about this.
No, not a thing.
Well, Jerry, we have a little surprise for you. Come on out, Celia.
What kind of sick, twisted creep are you?
What is this? What is she doing here?
It's a new format, Scandals and Animals.
If you think you can drug me and play with my toys, you've got another thing coming, buddy.
Go, girl.
What kind of woman drinks an entire box of wine?
A box of
I have
wine.
a squirrel here that is a miracle of modern science.
George, I told you we're booked.
Careful. Hawks and squirrels don't get along together.
Ooh, another interesting confrontation. This could be spicy. Yeah, George, bring him over.
No, you idiot. Hawks eat squirrels.
lot to unpack in that one.
Yeah, you start.
Well, how bizarre that was in the mid-90s when it went to air compared to how bizarre it is now, are worlds apart.
Okay.
Because we're essentially doing what Kramer was pretending to do.
We are doing that right now. No, well, actually, yes, it's weird. It is weird that now everyone thinks they're on a talk show.
Well,
Like back then, the gulf between being on a talk show and behaving the way they behave, their laughing, their patter, and their silly stories, and you know how set up it was, how phony it was, and everything. It was so great. This is what you just said, but
Yeah.
now we're trying to emulate that.
well, I mean, and that's, them, behaving that way while just actually catching up with friends.
Yes.
Was lunacy. So it was something that only Kramer would do.
Yes.
And we found it funny. And we are literally doing that. So, I mean, we do have a camera, but almost the same amount of people are watching us as would have been watching them. And part of this is an excuse for the two of us to just hang out and be friends. But we're doing it in this weird format where we're kind of addressing that thing at the same
we've
time.
got a problem. We can't just catch up. We've got to be a reason, and you're the reason. You're bringing us together. But it just got me thinking about how, when you see streamers walking around. I was down at the beach the other day and I saw someone like with a GoPro doing something. I mean, I wanted to hit it out of his hand or throw it into the ocean. I mean, that did occur to me. I didn't do it, but he was on the Merv Griffin Show, really.
Yeah.
Walking around doing it.
I mean, the one that is burnt into my memory was there's a very nice beach, a drive away from where we are, called Codslow Beach. Very beautiful, picturesque, and they used to do this thing called Sculptures by the Sea, where they'd get like local artists and then literally put the sculptures down on the beach, and it was great. And you go there close to sunset, and like everything is as it should be. And I remember this was even, maybe 10 years ago, walking there with, I think it was before I was even married, with my now wife, but girlfriend at the time, and seeing a girl in this beautiful environment on the beach with these sculptures, the setting sun, and she was not just on her phone, she had a selfie stick with a GoPro filming herself being on her phone. Not looking at the sculptures, not looking at the sunset, but just being on her phone.
Right.
And that was like, I would tell that story to everyone. It was like, oh, I saw this. Can you believe it?
Can you believe
and
it?
then now if we were to look outside, it almost seems like the first person to walk past would be doing that exactly. Walk around on their phone with a stick, like filming themselves.
It's
doing
interesting though, because it's not like in the 90s everyone was engaged in spiritual or educational pursuits.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, it was like we were doing the same stuff, but a different version
No,
of it.
no, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is a part of me that thinks that though, like because we're living in sort of a beautiful nightmare that is, filled with wonder, but then filled with horror. But I think that brings me on to another thing. What I get there's a darkness to this sketch. I think it's the how with an absence of a camera, how alone and cut off and horror filled and sad that setup is.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be if they were facing each other and interfacing and breaking bread together and speaking, right? Like that would be normal. But the fact that they're performing for someone who isn't there is really unsettling.
Yeah. Well, and I think, maybe part of the comment was that even back then, a lot of the closest interactions you have with your friends alone are still disingenuous.
Yes.
Where there's some level of performance still kind of there. So, when Newman and Kramer are talking about buying the generic brand name beans and then pulling the lights off of it and like just sitting there in the dark with each other, you just kind of go, oh yeah.
They were really starting to push the envelope. This is at the crest of the wave, I think, or just after. I feel like, we're getting more absurd and, a bit darker. I mean, even Jerry's, we haven't even talked, because it wasn't the plot that we talked about, but Jerry's plot with his girlfriend, I mean, I think that's glorious. Like, you know, that pitch is just like him drugging his girlfriend, getting her drunk on a box of wine and whatever, medication or whatever, so he can play with her toys.
The glee with which he admitted to doing it multiple times. You just kind of go, that's like borderline psychopath behavior.
Yes. Well,
and it's coming out of like the likable good guy Jerry, and you just kind of go, yeah, there is so much darkness in this.
It's
show.
funny, and actually, it wouldn't. If Larry said it, wouldn't be funny.
No,
like, but it's funny when Jerry
says it. It's hilarious. That's the thing. But you know, that's the stuff Friends wasn't doing.
Yes.
So I know from like a lot of people try and compare this show to Friends because they're like the two 90s sitcoms that have stood the test of time.
They have.
You're a bit of a Friends fan.
Yes. Yep. I like it.
I am not. You know, it's got a couple of moments, but it's like, like to me, it's missing that. It's missing like any sort of deeper layer of kind of, thought or statement or anything like that.
They sort of stumble into these dark moments, whereas Seinfeld goes into them knowingly. I think there are some subversive writers and threads and there's corners of Friends that are subversive. But it's not done, in the same way in Seinfeld. They that was their brand. They were like, let's go into it. You only get glimmers of it in Friends. Friends is far more, most of the time, just cheery and inoffensive. Although it is very sexual, like way more sexual than Seinfeld. They're constantly talking about sex, innuendo. It's constant innuendo.
Yeah, but also smelly cat.
Smelly cat, yeah. So there's all of that stuff. Whereas they never really, they don't go into they do their own brand of goofiness, like or dark stuff. Like think about Rachel goes out with a guy. I think it's Rachel, or maybe it's Monica, one of them. And the guy has got a really inappropriate relationship with his sister, and his sister's like. She goes, oh, you spilled something in your pants, and she's wiping stuff off his pants in Central Perk, and the friends are all sitting around, and they're going, like when she's doing it, and it gets more progressively more inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like, so they do stuff like that, but they just wouldn't do the Merv Griffin Show. Like that's a whole other thing. No,
and they wouldn't repeatedly drug someone to exploit them. It's No, So the squirrel thing with George was something that they would do in Friends.
Yes.
That's like, there's like, the A, B, and C stories with George, Kramer, and Jerry. So that one's like the typical light, no real commentary. It's like, he ran over a squirrel.
It's a C or D strand.
And it's like, having to pay all his vet bills, otherwise he'll lose his girlfriend. It's like I don't think there's too much of a deeper kind of layer to that. No. And then bringing it and getting the hawk attack. There's like the one layer of comedy that they're doing, but then there's the other two that Seinfeld also did.
Yes. All right, another good Seinfeld sketch. We'll see you next time.